Just yeah.
Okay. It's a very energetic button.
The energetic green button of Streamlabs. It's so big. All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Smudcast number 775. You're wrong about storytelling. Interesting. I love being told that I'm wrong and explained as to why that is, how stories for the past few thousand years have been, looked upon differently. And we're going to be learning how to look at them better, hopefully. That's the point. So this is a video from Kai After Kai. He made this February this year, and less than 1,000 views. It's a small channel. He's only got less than 4,000 subs. It's no big deal. I think his channel is about music, random movies, and I think he made videos about Xenoblade. So that's all I know about this guy.
Oh.
Couldn't tell you what he's about exactly, how he presents, how he talks. I have no idea.
Well, but if he has Shinji on the thumbnail, that implies we're talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion, and for that we first have to answer the question: is that actually a story?
Oh yeah, I'd say there's a story there. It's just so goofy and silly and goes nowhere. It
has a beginning. It has a middle, but I don't know if it has an ending.
If we're using the Aristotelian view of storytelling, I guess that's pretty basic. Sure, we could say that. The ending is questionable, whatever it is.
That is the question. Is it an ending?
Yeah, so that would be, you have to interpret what the hell's going on at that point in the story, because we go into psychedelic things don't make sense world. But the story ends, the thing finishes. There is.
Yeah, I mean, if we go by the movie, everybody is dead. Humanity is dead and also a blob. But my question for that is that actually an ending to a story inside there that has to do with the main character, and or is it just random things happening?
At the end, it's designed to be interpretive, and why they did it that way, we have lots of explanations as to why that is. But it's kind of a slap in the face to most people that just take it for face value, going, "What is this supposed to mean? Does this work? What is the point?" And that's where we all get lost with Evangelion. But hopefully,
it's well animated.
Hopefully he's not going to get too much into that, and he's going to give us why stories with a beginning, middle, end, with chapters, with plot points, with denouements, with all those wonderful terms we've learned, don't need a plot, as per the thumbnail. So maybe he's going to give us a new definition, because there's nothing wrong with redefining a literary term, because they're very hard to pinpoint anyway. And you don't have to use E.M. Forster's definition. You could use whatever makes sense for you to explain, and then explain what plot points are, if you even know what those are, if you even believe in those, and then go through other literary terms like theme and rising action. If you believe in dramatic structure, you don't have to. If you believe in comedic structure, you don't have to. Like, there's all kinds of things you can do. But I have nothing against people saying I don't like plots. I just want them to fill it in with something else so I can understand where they're coming from, and then we could have an understanding together. So this is fine. If you don't like certain stories, tell me why. If you do, tell me why. Just explain yourself in a rational manner that we can then say, oh, this is a template. We could apply this to all stories and see how it works. Because a lot of interpretive stories, like anthology stories or short stories, they are to be experimental, and you can get away with things. You can do things without much of a plot, if any plot, for the sake of emotion, poetry, whatever character vignette you want to do. So there's lots of ways to do something without a plot, just not in traditional storytelling.
I would advise against using Red's definitions of things.
Oh, I wouldn't even use her at all. That'd be confusing. I would be lost. It's just a jumble of words thrown at. Plot is a plot. Well, and these 14 other stories, blah, blah, blah. You're like, no, that's not going to help me. Anyway, almost 19 minutes. I doubt it'll be that bad for us to go through. I don't think it's going to be this bad. But we have no idea. Let's go.
There's a film that I watched. Intended to watch it for reasons I can't even remember. Eventually, I decided, screw it, and finally gave it a look. And what I found was a film that doesn't have a particularly thrilling or even interesting plot or characters you can dissect and dive into, but has nonetheless stuck with me ever since. That film is Lovers Rock.
Have you seen that?
Never heard of it.
Lovers Rock is the second film in Steve McQueen's 2020 Small Axe anthology, a series of 5 films that focus on members of the Caribbean diaspora, their families, and their experiences in 20th century Britain. Wikipedia describes the plot as 2 lovers meet at a reggae house party in 1980 in West London.
Is that a plot?
I don't know if they were just lazy and couldn't be asked to do a full summary, but honestly, there isn't much more to add. 2 young people meet each other at a house party. There's a bit of tension with a guest who's way too handsy, to put it mildly. But everyone has fun, and the main characters end the night a couple. To be honest, the plot is actually my least favourite among the 5 films. It isn't the most narratively exciting, the pacing is a bit meh, and some of the characters can feel a little too...
You ever watch that short video with those 2 German guys who say everyone who wears circular glasses is evil in every movie?
I have not seen that one, but I would say so, yes.
They have
it
it.
Also goes for a lot of communists. They also wear these glasses.
Yeah.
I don't know why they love them.
John Lennon, too. Not to say John Lennon's evil, but I'm just saying...
He is evil. You have to listen to his songs.
I'm just saying they have a whole series of videos just on this topic. It's just funny. Anyway.
Inconsistent. The film overall, however, is my second favourite in the anthology, maybe a contender for number 1, and that's because the film isn't just about 2 lovers meeting.
Okay, so he specifically referred to a film anthology, which is a series of short parts. It could be stories, it could be just vignettes, it could be 2 seconds, it could be whatever the heck it wants, where you can break the rules of traditional storytelling. So this could be 5 stories in a book, 5 stories in a movie, it doesn't matter. That's where you're allowed to break the rules. But what is this film? We don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't heard of it. And maybe it is supposed to be this offbeat style of storytelling. Great. Good for it. That's fine. That doesn't mean we throw out all of our drama and stage and movie experience and say, this is how we do storytelling now. It's like, no, we don't. So there has to be some explanation for this generalized statement of being wrong about storytelling because this guy watched a movie which has an anthology control. So it's like, yeah, that's not... Like even my teachers would be like, yeah, you could read short stories, you could write short stories, but that's not going to be the fundamental Promethean template for everything. That's silly. You wouldn't do that.
It's about the healing community, spaces, and black joy and beauty. And the film communicates all of that, not through its plot,
Black joy?
but almost a complete absence of it.
These terms really confuse me.
Well, it's obviously a story about people from the Caribbean going...
No, what I mean is if there is black joy, there must be Asian joy. And white joy. There must be race equivalent terms.
We're just going
Slav joy.
I know we're just going with the idea that it's a movie with black people in it and they're joyful. That's it. It could be anything. Okay.
Slav joy would probably involve a lot of vodka.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
Long portions of the film are dedicated to the characters simply dancing. Whether it's slow, tender, intimate and romantic, focusing on the small details of how 2 new lovers hold and caress each other. Whether it's...
I think that's fair. That's
So it's soft porn?
Well, if you want to argue most dancing is soft porn anyway, yeah, I think that's fair. You could have a story of just people dancing or walking and talking or whatever. That's fine. Is there a plot there? There might be. Does there have to be? It would be nice, but again, it's what's the point of the interlude, or in this case, what is it, chapter 2 he's talking about, whatever, in the 5 parts. So,
I mean, if it's the visually told story of the dance, or through the dance, of how the people get to know each other and so on, and where you solve the conflict in the dance without words, that could be interesting from an artistic perspective.
Right, unless they're doing a performative action alongside cinematography, then it's just visuals. Then it's like, okay, it looks good. Fair enough.
Energetic, frenetic, the camera pulling out to capture the hype of the whole room. Lovers Rock is really a film that revels in moment. The Small Axe anthology is one that naturally focuses on the pain and trauma suffered by London's West Indian community. The struggle of black-owned businesses to simply exist, the crackdown leading to and resulting from the 1981 Brixton riots, the open corruption and racism of the Metropolitan Police, the educationally subnormal children excluded from mainstream schooling, the institutional denial that any of the above even existed. It's a series that brings out so much sadness, loss, grief, indignation.
It's really strange. Because I know one black guy from South London, and he's awesome. He takes care of his siblings that they don't fall into gangs. He once for my birthday he found me an original copy of Orobo Muramasa in one of the gaming stores that still had one. In when was it, like 2020. He got that for £30. That thing goes for double on Amazon. And I barely understand his accent, but absolutely amazing guy. The thing is, in that neighborhood, the people do stick together. The problem is only the gangs. But even the gangs stick together when a kitty diddler shows up. That kitty diddler isn't going to be there for long.
Sounds like...
I know another guy who speaks the most posh London accent, who's worked in embassies and such, and same shade of brown. You would not believe these guys are from the same city. So this whole racism thing there's something else going on. It's not this institutional thing.
But then you have Lovers Rock, which films, and I think for a very good reason. Lovers Rock has its darker points. A close call with some ominous racist outsiders, the recent loss of one's parents, a vicious assault leading to a tense confrontation. But these instances, the most eventful events the film has, feel less like the foundation of the film and more like violent intrusions. Attempts to break in and shatter the sanctity of this safe space. There is a more dramatic, eventful story constantly trying to assert itself, but time and time again it is told no. Go away. Leave us alone. Let us have this moment. As a people, so many try to define by our suffering, one of the most impactful ways of rebellion is through joy, a celebration of the life others would deny.
No. The trick is that you stop to define yourself by suffering. If you keep defining yourself by suffering, that's like a depressed person constantly saying all the negative words, which just pulls you down further. That's what you need to stop.
This is all good and true, but he's just describing the movie he likes, which is an anthology, and you're like, fine, good for you. Where's the technical elements that we should be learning about?
Mm-hmm.
He could be talking about his favorite movie about ice cream. I love ice cream, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, great, good for you. Glad you're happy. But how is this changing storytelling? How are we supposed to be learning differently or reading or watching differently, for example.
Deny us through expressions enjoyed not just by those same others, but also unique to us. The film is named in tribute to the music that gave people the safe spaces to express that love of life, body, and spirit. And it shows that love and joy not through dialogue, action, events, plot, but through slow, physical, lingering, beautiful.
Okay, so this is no different than watching one of those women's networks shows where it's romance and the two are on a date and there's no words. Well, there could be some dialogue, but they're mostly just like walking through a town. They're sitting down for coffee. They're on a Ferris wheel. Like they're just having a good time. It's like, oh, they're on a date. They're enjoying their company, and that's a montage. And that's it. Only this one a little longer.
I will also add that the tone of his voice here for this sentence, the way he describes the dancing now, he could be describing his fetish in a porn.
Yeah, no, there's no difference.
How awesome it is. Also, yeah.
This is the thing I like. This is the flavor of ice cream I like. Look how succulent and juicy and creamy and fattening and sugary and chocolatey and minty. Like all these wonderful adjectives. Like, yeah, you like it. We get it. What is this about? Why are we... Like he described the theme, which is fine. These people from Caribbean coming to New Britain or Great Britain or whatever. I think it was London, some city in the 80s. And having a party and having all these racial issues. Yeah, okay, stuff happens, great. But how does that not incorporate a plot unless this is kind of like a non-character specific story where there's just stuff happens. And there's no specific character who wants a specific thing. They're just people. And it's almost like a documentary where it's like, this happens, and then this happens, and then the end. It's like, oh. And that was, to him, dramatic because he liked the content so much. So, yes, you can tell stories without plots. It's not going to go well with the average audience because they're going to say, what's the point of all this? Yes, this is racist. Yes, this is that. This happened in the 70s and the 80s, but how does that change storytelling? Who are these people? Give me more. Give me a reason why I should care. And this is the problem I have with people with fetishes or whatever. Great. Enjoy it. But don't tell me this is the new brand of storytelling or the new greatest thing because you like it so much. Work with the template of storytelling and then say, on top is my fetish. On top is this great thing. It works so well with romance. It works so well with revenge. Give me something. Like there's, what are those... I remember there's the 36 plots from like 200 years ago some guy wrote, and you go down the list, it's like, murder, like adulterous murder. You're like, what the hell? Like there's all these flavors of the same thing. It's like, okay, well, that's not really well thought out. And then you go to modern times, and someone described a plot as comedy or drama. And I'm like, that's not a plot. That's like the thrust of the movie. It's like, it's a comedic story, or it's a dramatic story. It's a tragedy, whatever. So people are using the term and redefining it to mean whatever they want. So again, I'm okay with that. Just, I want it to make sense so we know where this guy's coming from. And so far, all he's told us is he likes the content. So,
yeah. And Jay Jameson in the chat, I would not liken Slumdog Millionaire and movies like that to this, what he's presented us so far, because Slumdog Millionaire tells its story through little flashbacks, little vignettes, if you will, and just comes back to the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show as the skeleton that carries that, and that brings it together in the end, and then you have the resolution in the present.
Okay.
Quoting Angelica, so much what happens, but how it happens. In other words, fuck plot.
What?
What? No. How the plot happens is as important as what happens.
Well, he hasn't actually described plot aside from a wiki article that he quoted, but that doesn't tell me what he's talking about. That just means someone wrote a wiki article and described the general, it was a one sentence thing, described the general story of this movie. And you're like, great, but what does it mean that you say plot is bad? Does it mean the wiki article is useless to you?
What I can take so far is that there are people, they meet at a party, they get together, and some things do happen. He's just not telling us what exactly or in what order. There seems to be something.
Plus the other things happen, like the police officer in the locker room, the kids on the bus, like stuff happens, but like he's really describing this dancing party thing, and I'm like, okay, great, but
I think he's just indulged in but the feelings, man, the feelings.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Dude, free yourself from your preconceived notions of the material world. You need to serve the emotion, man.
This is like the kaleidoscope stuff in Innocence, Ghost in the Shell 2, where it is visually amazing, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the point of this is. I don't know why they spent so much time on it. So yeah, visually appealing, flashing lights, dangling keys. Yes, I agree. But where's the story going? What's the point of this? So I need to know what he means by plot before we continue, or else he could have said, fuck theme. I'm like, okay. What do you want then? More people slow dancing? Like, what is the thing?
Dude. Beautiful. You want to buy some psychedelic love beats? Dr. Zoidberg over there makes them himself.
Bullets are beautiful. Oh no.
If Lovers Rock was defined by an absence of plot, 2021's Tenet is defined by an absence of
I think I've
everything else. The one sole overriding objective of this film is to get from one set piece to the next as fast and efficiently as possible within its runtime.
So, episode 9.
I have watched it and I have forgotten everything about it.
Stuff happens very quickly and you're like, what? How did that happen? So he's describing Tenet the same way I might describe episode 9. Just a blur of stuff, and there's a flurry of scenes and stuff happens.
Oh, was this the weird time travel movie?
Yes, this was the one by Christopher Nolan.
That was interesting.
Okay.
And I think he has a problem because the plot here happens forward and backward at the same time in some places.
Really?
Yeah, it is a very interesting concept that he managed to pull off surprisingly well.
Okay, so he basically made a palindrome.
You have to pay attention.
He made a palindrome. He made a palindrome out of a movie, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, he makes paradoxes work.
Oh. Okay, that's impressive.
Give it a watch. It's not a movie I would want to rewatch all too often, but yeah. I was, because people talked very negatively about it. Eventually, you run out of movies to watch, so I did, and I was confused at first, and later on was like, oh, that's actually done okay, considering the obstacles you put in your way in the script writing. That this hard mode. This movie is hard mode writing. So to pull off something that is somewhat sensible, yeah, I'll give a cautious thumbs up.
All right, cool. I'll check it out.
Doesn't aid in that objective is given as little attention as the film can get away with. How does all this weird inverted physics work? No one cares, don't think about it. Hey, how about we take a minute to
No. They do try to figure it out.
Yeah, you could have...
They have a science department that tries to figure it out, and they say, we don't get it all, but we can use it, but we don't know all the rules. But we can use it well enough in order to somehow use it to assassinate people, which is weird, but okay.
Yeah, with the Usual Suspects movie, the cop didn't have to figure out right at the end who the Kaiser Soze was. He could have just stared at the wall and went, who knows, and sat back down. Like, that would have been fine. And the movie just ends, and Kaiser just walks off. That would have been fine. You don't have to have mysteries to be solved all the time.
But look, since he was so enamored by the emotionality of the first movie he covered, that fits quite well with not caring at all for the difficult and labyrinthine writing of Tenet.
It's a bit different.
And science fiction logic. Because sci-fi requires logic. It also requires philosophy and points. Sometimes it's about that more than it is about the actual technology. But this movie is mostly about the technology, which is I think you need to want to like puzzles.
I think a lot of sci-fi can be a bit too existential at times, and even the like Dune, Solaris, all the classics are kind of like, okay, I see what the writer's trying to be telling the story about, because once we get to a certain level, it's like, okay, what does it mean to have foresight and have perfect memory and all this other stuff? You're like, all right, who knows? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you can't put that in a movie. That doesn't work. I don't think you can translate Dune into a movie in forgive me the word, in actuality of what it is about. You can do the scenery, you can do the dialogue and everything, but what's most important in Dune is the exploration of consciousness, which is not done in the dialogue.
If they can get to, was it Children, I think, the third book? If they can get there in the remake, if they can get there, I'd be impressed.
That would be something. Oh my god. No, they won't do the repeated defenestration scenes.
Oh, there's
with
plenty.
The strong female characters possessed by Baron Harkonnen. Spoilers.
Yeah, maybe not. I'd like to see though. I'd like to see them try and make it as, because the was it Villeneuve, whatever his name is, the director. He's been pretty accurate so far with just taking.
They made a really bad casting choice for Chani, because that girl is not pretty.
Okay.
She looks like an average broad.
Well, watch the made for TV one. Was it the late 90s or the early 2000s?
Early 2000s there was one. It had surprisingly expensive CGI for its time. It ran on German TV once, and I think I captured one episode, the one where the Hunter Seeker comes out of the wall. And for Paul, they had cast this well-built gym pretty boy.
That's actually
what I remember.
He was in a Canadian series. I can't remember the name, but it also had who's that name of that porn star from the 70s? She's now an actor. Anyway, she was one of the female leads, and I was like, "Hey, cool!" And it was a time traveling story. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was probably time traveling story. Very goofy, but all dramatic, all serious. I was like, okay. And he was in that miniseries for a few years. So, yeah, Canadian actors, they pop in and out. What do you know? Anyway, we are at 5 minutes and a half. Doing okay.
Yeah.
We just shut up, nerd. We gotta move. Characters?
You're saying this character does not have any character? Really?
It's too long ago to give you anything, but the characters in this movie are more driven by purpose and survival. It's
fine.
It's if it's more about the mission and you're in the mission already, you don't have too much time for deep characterization. It's like when you watch the 1917 movie. You follow the two soldiers. There is characterization there, but since you're constantly running from one war event to the next, there's not much. You don't have time for much depth of it. But you get a vibe of what each of the guys is like from a personality standpoint. I don't know what he means with character, because some people of this generation seem to think character needs to be tons of back plot with what hobbies does he have, what's his favorite color, and what kind of girl does he like, and what I guess zodiac sign is he, and shit like that. And I don't know. You think you can derive a lot of character just from the actions of people and the choices they make and how they make them, how they execute them. The original Die Hard movie is, I think, a very good example of that. Because what is the character of the main character? How do you know his character? Is it spelled out, or do you see it mainly through his actions? What's the character of Judge Dredd in Dredd? You don't even see his face. You don't know his favorite color or what he likes to eat. He just does the fucking job. And that's his character.
All right. Let's continue.
Characters other than the evil Russian billionaire whose name I had to look up, his depressed and abused wife, and Robert Pattinson, there are no characters in Tenet, just walking archetypal exposition machines. Nobody even has the time to ask the protagonist his name. To invert that Bastien quote, that's cute. I didn't do that on purpose. To invert that Bastien quote, the film is almost all about what happens. Fuck how and why. And let me be clear, this isn't me.
That comes together at the end. It's one of those movies. Like Memento functioned like that because that was solely backwards. And Vanilla Sky had this fucked up storytelling vibe where it slowly revealed what is actually going on. In the beginning, you don't know shit. It's a confusing mess. And that's probably where his brain checked out. Because you have to keep these puzzle pieces, and then later you put them together. Any Guy Ritchie movie functions like that. Most people probably have seen Snatch. Have you seen Snatch?
Oh, geez, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, the wonderful movie where Vinnie Jones shoots Boris the bullet dodger off screen, and he's like 2 meters away, and Boris just refuses to die because he's the bullet dodger. Beautiful.
Isn't any deeper than its plot. A bit of thematic depth to Tenet. Its concept pokes at ideas of free will, determinism, the relationship between future and past generations. As a child of a physics teacher, I find its look into the nature of entropy and time as a physical dimension thought-provoking, if nothing else.
What, because you're the child of a physics teacher?
He has a background growing up with a father who was teaching him apparently mathematics, so he can appreciate whatever the movie was about.
Yeah, but maybe you should study it too. Make that the family tradition, and then be upset at your child not choosing it. That's gonna be fun. Yeah,
I remember a buddy of mine. We were in a gifted class like once every week or so. His father was an English teacher, so we were going to go see a play of like Shakespeare or whatever. I think it was King Lear. And his father gave him like a 3-day long lecture on the nuances of King Lear and all. He's like, "Oh my god,
that sounds fun."
Thanks, Dad.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Well, it's his passion, so obviously, whoever's interested in that thing is going to eat your ear off about the thing. Anyway.
Oh, on Monday, I finally get my gold-rimmed completed works of Shakespeare.
Really?
Finally. I am so sick because of you barely get any of the originals here, and then it's just everything by itself. And
apparently, I didn't know this, but there were books, even when I was growing up, that had Shakespeare, and on the other side of the book, like there were drawings, and then there were interpretations by the author or the whatever translator to explain what the hell's going on. I never had that. I just had the original text, and I'm just like, what is going on? I had to figure this out on my own. So when you actually see the play, you're like, oh, the milk of human kindness. I get it. I understand what's happening on the stage. So, little things like that, you think you understand. You're like, I don't know what that means. And then
there was also a comic series called Illustrated Classics. It's not historically accurate about some things, but it is pretty close and pretty good to get the children interested into the better topics and stories of humanity, the things that matter.
All right. Let's
the house, since this is so important here, the publishing house that made that was founded by a black guy in the 60s, I believe. So yeah, great accomplishment. Those are the relevant accomplishments. That's not what the black activists talk about, probably because it makes people smarter.
Alrighty, let's go.
And I do think there is and purposefully it min-maxes its attributes and what that says about filmmaking and storytelling. But other than a literal handful of scenes, the film doesn't really take any time to soak in itself as Lovers Rock does, which in turn means the film can't really reflect and engage with its ideas, because by the time you start processing them, we're suddenly in another exposition or action scene.
That's just because you're slow. Seriously. You're slow. Then pause the movie if it's too fast for you. We live in the time where we can do that. You don't have to watch it on television with ad breaks, which probably would also help you process what happened. But yeah, just pause and wait or scroll back. Whatever.
Action scene. Sato reveals the future wants to wipe out the present out of revenge for their ancestors destroying the Earth through climate change, and all he gets in response is, damn. If only they were the protagonist. And while I do like it when a piece of media encourages you to think about its ideas and concepts beyond what it explores itself, Tenet doesn't so much sow the seeds of discussion as it does throw the bag in your face and tell you to plant it yourself. Don't get me wrong, the plot fucks, but shit isn't beautiful.
What?
To be fair to Tenet, it's not like every film has the luxury or even the opportunity to be a Lover's Rock.
Oh, the shaky hand cam. Yes, that was bad. The time of shaky hand cam hopefully is soon over.
I doubt it.
As interesting as a sensual slow dance between John David Washington and Robert Pattinson would be, I don't think that's the kind of vibe Tenet is going for. So it might be a little proper to compare the film with something a little more in its lane. Neon Genesis Evangelion
we're here.
How?
I've seen the original anime, the end of Evangelion, and all 4 of the rebuild films twice.
So sorry.
And I'm only confident I could tell
we
you
weep
like
for you.
80% of the plot. I'm still not totally sure what Adam and Lilith are and what they have to do with moons, or how Ava Unit 1 is also Shinji's mum, or how...
Well, that is explained in the show.
Yeah, you weren't paying attention to all of those things, actually. That is explained. You're right, yeah.
It is explained. Also, and for the special religious terminology, go to church, ask your padre.
Oh, yeah, it might be a bit different. The Japanese might have interpreted that a bit differently, I'm sure.
Well, the whole with Gaff's room. That's kind of the metaphor. Kind of works, but it's silly. But yeah, it's all explained. You just it's actually a good example of why you couldn't understand Tenet. If you missed all the explanations in NGE, why would you get something that is way more complicated and actually thought through like Tenet?
Yeah, I think this kind of opinion of Evangelion. And I'm not saying Evangelion is easy to remember because there's a lot of weird stuff happening. But if you like a thing that much, you would remember all these terms, what they meant. You wouldn't be like, oh, I can't remember what Lilith is. Like you have no Judeo-Christian memory of what the term Lilith means. So it's kind of strange to not know that. Like if you read a science fiction, really big one that you really enjoy, you're going to reread it. You're going to go, oh, I remember this scene. What does this scene mean to me? And you're going to research words and terms. You're going to go online. You're going to do some homework. You're not just going to read a book and go, hey, that was fun. It's like, no, it means more than just a sensationary experience. There's something about it that you want to remember. And usually, like the Princess Bride, I love that film. There's all kinds of wonderful references and quotes and the scenes leading up and why they're happening and who's doing what. And like that's one of those things you're passionate about because you like it so much. This guy feels like he just likes it and it's been a while and he forgot about it. So it's just a thing he remembered. He doesn't care to go back to it. Fair enough. Doesn't help the explanation.
Angels want to come down and make snoo snoo with Lilith to create a new humanity.
It's almost like the villain in most animes. They want to make everyone uniform. There will be no evil if everyone is the same, or something like that.
Communism.
Only this is physically, literally explaining that in the most bizarre way you could think.
Well, this is the Gnostic influence, because in the Gnostic influence, which is what socialism, communism is derived from, as insane as it sounds, that's where it comes from. That is the ultimate goal. So this is the funny thing, that Japan not holding back, not being culturally pre-influenced by our mindsets and our cultural stuff. They just go at this stuff, look at it, and think, I can make a cool myth story about this. Full Metal Alchemist is the same. That's pure Gnosticism. The whole alchemy stuff comes out of Gnosticism. The whole sacrifice nations, people, like if you sacrifice enough people, you can become as God. That's Gnosticism. It's blood sacrifice on a massive scale.
There's so many Judeo-Christian terms in manga and even translated to anime. The 7 deadly sins, I never stop hearing about them. The same with many of the names of dragons from all kinds of mythos, whether it's Norse or Chinese. It's just everywhere. They just throw it in there.
Because, of course, the Japanese would not just engage with their own mythology, they would also engage with what to them is exotic. And the great thing is that through their current cultural height, we get our mythology reflected back at us in very interesting ways. And with thought put to it and not just propagandized and twisted in a bad way. Like, there's also badly written stuff, no question. But mainly we get really cool stuff. And that we get the Gnostic crap reflected back at us. And we do not recognize it for what it is simply due to our lack of education in about just old Greek philosophy. If you read the first 3, Socrates, Plato, Aristoteles, you know what's going on.
It is a bit, not would say disconcerting, but just strange how in order to add complexity or to have reveals or to have development in a story, let's say a manga, one of them I remember reading, The Player That Can't Level Up, right? Simple story about reverse isekai. The world is covered with monster gates. And this guy, for whatever reason, cannot increase his level. He's stuck in level 1. And some reason...
Is that a variant on solo leveling?
Oh, there's about half a dozen of these, of what I just described. So there's... I can't remember all the names.
It's a new sub genre.
Yeah, this is a popular manga, so it's pretty big. And it ends up becoming, he's now in charge of living equipment that has its own name, which is based off the Talmud or the angels, and so it's like one sword is called Luce, which is basically Lucifer or whatever, but no one makes that connection.
Why? General question to the audience: why do the Japanese get translations of the Talmud, but we can't? That pisses me off. That pisses me fuck off.
It's the Judeo-Christian. It's the same idea. It's just funny that they use the whole host of angels. There's a whole subplot with Michael. Michael's not a man. It's a female angel. I'm like, that's different. And there's Gabriel. He's a bad angel. You're like, all right, this is just, you're using so many references. Yeah, but they back it up with actual pantheons and hosts of angels. Like, all right, so they actually did some research. But I'm curious why they went the route, and I can't figure that out. So it's nice to see that, oh, cool, they're doing religious symbolism. Why? To have a cool-looking angel with a sword. Like, okay, fair enough. And then there's another angel, and there's a whole host of angels. Like, oh my God, you're going... And they're calling him Father. Oh, wait, so now you're calling the main character God. Like, that's a bit too much. So it just devolves into this silliness. Obviously, it retracts from that and goes into the game world. But it's those elements of mythology where this is stuff that a person just starting to write is like, well, what do I know? I know my religion. I know some stuff on TV. I'm going to do my own thing. Let me interpret that. I'm like, okay. But I'm also an artist. I also am from Japan, and I don't understand it, but I'm going to make my characters work with this background. And you're like, whoa, this is different. So I don't think the average reader will mind, but people who are like, wait a second, you're throwing around God and Yahweh and all these other names. So it's a bit different. Anyway, happens a lot. Let's keep going.
How he works, like I know what it does, but how is the question? And the spears, I don't even know what the deal is with the spears and whatever the hell the Chamber CGI. Of Guff is. And don't even get me started.
Read a book.
Yeah, they describe...
That's a mythological reference. The way the goop works and the AT fields work, that's explained in the first episode.
That was the LCL that they explained that you could breathe through it. It's basically, I can't remember the name of the fluid that we actually have in real life that you could submerge a mouse into.
Yeah, that's just highly oxygenated.
Yeah, exactly.
The LCL is the actual goop that humans are made out of if the anti-terror field collapses. So if our anti-terror field keeps us together, and if it ever collapses, we just turn into a puddle of orange goop.
Yeah, absolute. Was it called absolute terror or absolute something like that? AT fields.
Called anti-terror.
No, it was absolute terror.
What? Did he change that?
The original was absolute terror.
Really?
Wait, absolute terror field. Yeah, I was right. AT fields are normally invisible barriers, but can't become visible to the naked eye when colliding with other things. I'm not going to get to that. Anyway. Oh, God. Me trying to make sense of things is not going to help. Anyway, let's go to some super chats and get on with the video. Legacy, thank you, sir, for the $4.99. I've heard the manga of Eva. Oh, there's a oh, Jesus.
It went on forever. I think it's finished by now.
I can't believe I never even bothered to look. Manga of Eva does elements better than Eva, such as Shinji ready to punch his father and having balls, but oh wow, he actually has a spine. Amazing.
The manga is slightly different, and the anime was finished long before the manga got anywhere.
Okay, that's probably why I never heard of it. All right.
It was out at the same. It came out at the same time as the show, but as I said, it hadn't gone very far.
Yeah.
And Arnaud wasn't in charge of the story of that one fully.
So it makes more sense. Okay. Threadnut, thank you, sir, for the £10. So basically, Kai is the quintessential member of the modern audience and why everything sucks now. Thanks, Kai. I'll stop blaming Todd Howard for everything bad and start blaming you instead. I don't think he's as interested in reading or storytelling as the rest of us, but obviously he enjoys all kinds of things. That's great. If you're going to make a video and talk about things, don't say, oh, I forgot what this meant. I forgot what all these terms mean, to go along with the idea of, well, details don't matter of the thing I really, really like. Don't do that.
Back in the day, things didn't just have funny names to be foreign and alien and mystical. They had meaning and interacted with the other things in the thing. And you had to keep track of that.
Because if
memory.
Yeah, if you say things like this, that means you're no longer not necessarily a fan of Evangelion. You don't have to be a fan, but you're taking it from a casual perspective, and you're not remembering important terms to flesh the world out that a fan would know. So don't say, "Oh, I really like Evangelion. I just don't remember anything." It's like,
Yeah, like that Count of Monte Cristo anime adaptation in a sci-fi setting that you recommended to me. He could never watch that.
I think he might enjoy it because visually.
Visually he's just oh look, dangling keys, kaleidoscope colors, shit. But he wouldn't know what the fuck is going on.
Well,
because I had trouble figuring that out in the first few episodes.
I think that's the thing. Like, people appreciate media differently. The difference is this guy will not see it from a literary perspective. He'll see it from an experience. Like, how does it make me feel? Like, he's that sort of mentality, which is fine. But you can't give me an argument from emotion and say, well, storytelling doesn't matter anymore. Plot doesn't matter anymore. Logic is not as important because I really like Evangelion and how it makes me feel. It's not going to have much traction.
Builds, which are a retelling, but also a sequel in a cool meta sense, but also kind of a literal one as well. Long story short, Ava's plot is infamously convoluted, to put it mildly, especially towards the end when they suddenly begin throwing out lore and terms without any rhyme or reason. I don't think it's completely nonsensical, but you will have more than your fair share of what the fuck is going on moments while watching it. Some parts of it you might not ever understand. So, not too dissimilar to Tenet then? If that's the case, then why is Tenet a conceptually interesting but ultimately just pretty entertaining film, and Evangelion one of the best TV and film franchises ever written? Ultimately, I think it comes down to characters. I think a good analogy...
Wait.
One of the best? It has a big fan base. That doesn't make it the best. World of Warcraft has the biggest subscriber base of any MMORPG in history.
There could be many reasons.
Man, is it shit.
Yeah, there could be many reasons.
Man, did the devs not care.
Yeah, like, he can give us like a dozen reasons why Evangelion's great. That's great. I can give you the same. But it doesn't mean it's good. Tell me why, from every analytic view you can give me, not just it made me feel things. That is like saying this woman is so beautiful and that's all that matters to me. It's like, okay, are you dating her? Do you want to? Yes, I'm dating her. Like, do you care how she feels, what she wants? Like, tell me about her personality. No, she's beautiful. I'm like, wait a second. You're missing this whole body of knowledge that you should possess when watching a movie or reading a book or whatever. But because it makes you feel things, it's great. It's perfect. It's amazing. It's not. This is not how you should treat media. This is not how you should treat people or life. There's nuances, there's details, and those things are confusing, like Evangelion. And when you cannot find an answer, and no one can find an answer, you must conclude this is part of the narrative for a reason, which is bad. It was poorly put together. There are other stories where it's supposed to be open-ended, and that's fine. Where you can interpret to mean other things, where the reveal you could have seen coming, but in most cases nowadays that's almost impossible. And I always talk about the four major, like even Memento, the reveal there, and it was so like you could not possibly figure that out, what's going to happen right at the end. It's like, oh, why would he do that? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Then you realize, who cares? He forgets every 10 minutes. It doesn't make a difference. Of course he'd do something silly. It's like, well, I wouldn't know that. So there's a lot of things in a lot of films that don't make sense. And when you can't get a good answer, that means the author is pushing in the artistic way a bit too far and not providing the background for a foundational reasoning as to why B follows A and all these events make sense, or A follows B in Memento's case. You need to have that, or you're going to lose your audience for just like reading or watching. What is happening? Why are we here? Who is he? Who is he now? Who is he trying to get? Like, what? There's all these questions which aren't hard to answer. Tell us what's going on. It's very simple. Why are you there? What does he want? What is the goal? Answer those questions. Every scene, or at least visually or descriptive wise, dialogue, I don't care. Give me a reason why things are happening, and you got my attention. Do all the psychedelic stuff, and that's fine. I don't mind. Anyway, halfway done. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a donation. I have to read the donation. This is from Nick Gurr. Nick Gurr, number 1 Askafan. Or Asukafan. However you want to pronounce that. Every fought, F-O-G-H-T, every fought in Evangelion involves a scene from the Human Instrumentality Committee going, they seem to be having trouble. Then a guy with a huge nose, and I presume no foreskin, says, not to worry, this is all foretold in the pee-pee poo-poo complex. Yes, the Dead Sea Scrolls was like, what the hell are they talking about?
It's not wrong. That's the plot, kinda. Or, well, not plot, the structure of the episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we got some super chats. Sorry. Let me read those. From Legacy. Thank you, sir. I hate the characters of Eva. Okay. I prefer the story to lean toward biomechanical mechas and what the ham heck are the angels are. And he says aliens, I don't know.
They're angels.
They are both. They're
also humans.
They're Judeo-Christian mythos. They're alien. They're
98% the same DNA as humans. So they're humans.
That's
your answer.
They're geometric objects. I don't know. They're all kinds of things. One more from Threadnought, and we keep going. Are his glasses lopsided? They don't look right. They're circular, so I guess that could be lopsided very easily, because you could tell. But no, it's not a big deal. They're just cheap glasses. Wear whatever you like. Buy some $10 glasses. See if they fit. Enjoy them. No big deal.
Characters is that they are making up a story in his head, completely independent of whatever backstory those figures were given on the back of their box. With the exception of Kat and maybe Neil and Sator, none of the characters has any personal stake in the conflict beyond saving the world.
They're doing a job.
Which, to be fair, is a perfectly valid motivation in this situation. But because no one's motives are really coming from themselves as individuals, it creates the feeling that the story...
Dude. Saving the world is a good reason coming from the self, because you live in the world. So if you save it, that means you can continue to live in it instead of being dead.
This is the general idea we get of military movies, where why is the guy there? He wants to serve his country. But what is he doing in this war zone? Because he was ordered to do so. Okay, but why is he killing those people? Because he was ordered to do so. And then there's the details and the conflict of the individual commander and the soldier being told what to do, agreeing or disagreeing. And that's good enough. We get that. We understand a person with whatever sense of honor or loyalty or responsibility does those things. So we don't need that explained, because we understand military structure as a military movie would have. So some of it's obvious. And in this case, he's an agent of some kind in Tenet. I don't know exactly what he is, but...
The thing is, in Tenet as well, you have the conundrum, paradox, enigma, whichever applies, of fate. Because that is a thing you inevitably get with time travel. Or with things happening in reverse, which is kind of what it does. Because, spoiler, the people who go into the time machine, they move backwards. So at some point you can come across yourself, but moving in the other direction. It's weird.
Well,
and in the end, the scenes in the beginning that were set up come together because you get to see the other side of them.
Well, this is we have this in movies or stories in general with Shakespeare, with Macbeth. The prophecies, like this is going to happen. It's always interpreted to be something else. In Dune, there's all kinds of stories do this, where you're fated to do something. So it's like, I got to prevent the end of the world, like we have with it's that wonderful science fiction, the Foundation series, where we've created our own future, or we've predicted our own future, that all of humanity will die out as a result of the Foundations not sustaining themselves. How do we fix that problem? And that's part of the story. So the idea that you're fated to do something, why are you trying to solve a problem that sounds impossible? What's the real motivation? It's like you want to save everyone. You want to save the world. It's pretty much a given. And yeah, you can go into
purpose and duty.
Yeah, you can go into details of individual reasoning, like I want to save my family, I love my wife, That's great.
Yeah. Things that go beyond ego.
Yeah, I think
which is difficult to understand for somebody who only thinks in ego.
I think that's where we get the overarching plot and the personal motivation backstory sometimes, and that's fine. You don't have to have it, but it helps to bring some humanity to a character, and that's normal. You want to give I always say give as many plots as necessary. So you focus on the public, then you give a nuance to the private, and you slowly reveal the private as you go, or you give it all at once and get it over with, then focus on the plot because that's why you're here. So yeah, just cover your bases in writing. That's what you got to do. Appease the people that want storytelling to make sense, and then give it the personal touch, which is what this guy cares about.
As it is happening, ironic given the ending twist that there's an older version of the protagonist out there manipulating everyone behind the scenes, so the story is literally about him, but that's the feeling I get. I guess you could say him wanting to save Kat is the protagonist's personal motive, but I mean, come on. The main character wanting to save his love interest isn't exactly revolutionary storytelling here, folks.
It's not your question was not about whether it's a revolutionary storytelling trope, but what his motivation is. Here's his motivation. So now you have the motivation. You do know the motivation. After all, I know you complain that it's not amazing enough. Dude, black people dancing in a room isn't revolutionary. It's probably the oldest thing black people have done, just that in the past they did it without rooms and just in the desert around the fire. Don't come at me with just him wanting to save his love interest. This is not revolutionary. I need my hammer and sickle to wipe away my tears. Fuck off.
This is not an issue I have with Evangelion.
What?
Ow. Even in the more episodic, plot-driven first half of the anime, it never feels like the characters are just reacting to things happening outside of their control. The plot tries to force Shinji to get in the robot, but ultimately he's the one who makes the decision to do so.
No, he's driven to it. And he has nothing else to do, really. He really has nothing else to do. He has no character beyond he is there.
He
and sulking.
He likes the cello, and he likes listening to music. That's about all we know about him.
Well, which is the music he probably only listens to sedate himself.
Yeah, it's always just the track he keeps replaying over and over for whatever it is.
Because Shinji is Hideaki Anno's projection of depression.
Apparently, yeah. So, yes, he will get in the robot. It just takes him that extra 10 minutes to do it.
And he wants some attention from his father. So he does what his father tells him, because maybe that gives him some recognition. That is a tiny spark in all of that.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is a bad character moment for Shinji. That's actually, that he has problems being a boy and living up to his parents' expectations and what he wants from that. It's not clearly stated, but that's fine. It's his little thing to figure out. It's just that it never develops much. He's just along for the ride half the time. At least with Asuka, we know she has mommy issues, but she's proud of herself so much. She willingly jumps in, and then she gets the crap knocked out of her.
She probably also has daddy issues, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
Because a father would have compensated for that.
Leave, come back, and so on. He does it not just to save the world, but to find a sense of belonging, to do something he can be good at and proud of, to connect with other people in his life, to have a father who gives him the time of day, let alone says he loves him. Same with Asuka, Gendo, Misato, etc., etc. The show goes out of its way to show the characters doing what they do for reasons that really mean something to themselves as individuals. Even when the characters are in situations that deprive them of agency or technically have no real personal motives, they still have depth through the exploration of that fact, of that lack of agency or motive. As a result, the story feels like more than just a series of events.
Because NGE is not just an action film. Tenet is mainly an action film. It's 2 hours of high-budget action. It doesn't bother too much beyond the necessary with exposition. Just like Dread. Dread doesn't bother much with exposition. It bothers with action.
Yeah, the difference is Evangelion is so pretentious and gets caught up in its own lore or whatever references it was using that you're sitting at the end going, what are they trying? How are these committee of giant mechs so strong? Where do these spears come? Like, there's no answers to anything. And you're just like, okay, I'm just watching a bunch of stuff happen with words coming at you that don't mean anything anymore. And stuff just explodes or reforms or transforms. And you're like, I don't understand any of this. The angels were alien enough. And now just everything is just messed up. So there comes a certain breaking point where, like, I can't understand or believe what's happening anymore. There's no point in trying to make sense, and the rest is all spectacle. You're just like, okay, you're gonna give me a gigantic Ray body, and which is suddenly decomposing in the ocean, and I'm just utterly confused as to how we got here. I don't know what's going on anymore.
No, she birthed the world, so she withers like the spider that carries the little spiders that then eat the mother spider.
Oh, okay. I assume Asuka and Shinji are like eating big chunks of Ray on the beach because they're starving.
There's not much else around.
I know, there's just water and big chunks.
And again,
of
Shinji remade the world, so he could have made it by not needing to eat. Because
really?
Eating is annoying.
Oh.
Like, technically, he took the position of God.
Can he kill Asuka? Because he was trying to kill her, and I'm like, maybe he wants to try, but not actually succeed. So she's immortal, or I don't know. That'd be funny if.
Yeah, because he has an abusive love-hate relationship.
Oh.
Where Asuka is the abuser.
Therefore, I'm going to strangle her. Okay.
Yeah, that's what makes him upset at her, but he also wants her. That's the problem. Asuka is an actual narcissist. She's horrible. She deserves all the pain.
Need to be dealt with. Pieces colliding into each other. The plot, the actual events happening aren't so much the main attraction as they are a road. They're there to give the protagonist something to drive on. How they do so and where they end up going. That's the draw of the show.
Okay, when giants from, I guess, outer space arrive on the Earth in a very specific location multiple times after every few months or whatever the time frame is, that's kind of a big deal. That's like having multiple alien encounters that want to wipe out humanity.
We have to nuke them to stun them.
It's like, oh, this is really important. We should probably get the rest of the world involved. But it's never really addressed in a very believable way. Like, oh yeah, what are the United States doing? There's just the committee, the was it SEAL?
Well, they're funding stuff.
Yeah, it's all just bureaucratic
for
stuff.
For some reason, they all go to Japan,
and they have this elevator city, and it's just the most bizarre nonsense you've ever seen. So yeah, no, there's a lot of problems with this story.
Oh, you know what's really cool? The this car train that goes down in a spiral in the underground, this crater sphere thing. When you ride with the train into the city of Stuttgart, you have that exact effect because the train tracks are built around the impact crater of an ancient asteroid, and Stuttgart is in the basin of that crater. So the train goes in a circle around that crater, and you look over the city as you would look over the underground city of Neo Tokyo. It's not a pretty city, but you have that effect. Germany, we did it already.
The finale, are driving off a cliff, and the show just becomes the characters talking to each other. No filter, just unpacking their hang-ups and trauma and relationships.
It's more of a weird dreamscape where Shinji's just rambling on in his head, and you're like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's because everyone's goop now, and so all their consciousnesses are mixed into each other.
Yeah, so you get...
Technically, the Seele guys could also be talking.
We don't exactly know what's happening. This is the problem with stories when they go to the dreamscape or they go to the psychedelic drugs or the kaleidoscope tunnel or whatever it is. And you're like, okay, is this real? Is this a dream? Is this some networked telepathic communication scene where the camera's playing tricks on us? Like, we don't know what's going on. And whenever you do that to the audience, you're just, well, they're checking out. They're like, I don't know what's going on. I can't follow. I'm not connecting. If I don't have a logical basis for where we are, why, how, who, and all the others, then you're wasting everyone's time. And it's just a basic thing to do, to go from reality to God knows where without explaining any of that. Like if there was like a dream machine or an alternate reality that you would plug into, you'd be like, oh, okay, cool. There's a whole other universe out there that you can go to where all your subconscious mind is there. It's like, okay, great. Cool. But that's never explained. That's never even elucidated about. We just sit there going, what is happening right now? Why is Shinji back in school? Why is everyone laughing like this is a rom-com? Oh, that was just a dream. Like, what? Why did we do that? Why did they show us that alternate telling of the rom-com Evangelion? It was like 8 minutes or so. It was like this weird. I can't remember why they did that. And they just, what if it was like this? Like, I don't care. This is freaking me out. You don't do that in a story unless there's a good reason how and why, and what's the point? I'm not here to listen about a young boy or a young man trying to figure out his place in the world by having fantasies about if only school was like this and all my friends were like that and Ray was like this and Asuka was like that and da-da-da-da. Like, what the hell? If it's just a dream, great. Then he woke up, it was a dream. Wow, that was a weird dream. Okay. This is like trying to save the world through the power of mom in a giant robot. and we don't know what's going on anymore. We're having an acid trip of some kind. That's not storytelling. That's an acid trip. That's a weird drug-induced vision. Anyway, it's bad.
Watch Requiem for a Dream instead.
Well, at least we know that drugs are the main element of the story in that one.
And it has a better soundtrack.
Okay, fair enough. I kind of like Evangelion's soundtrack, though.
Oh, fuck the plot.
No! No, this is the last episode, you twit!
No.
This is not beautiful! What?
Oh, God.
What part?
I want to say derogatory words now. You are solely led by emotional tinglings.
How is...
You are not a man of logic and reason.
That's
why you don't give a shit about plot if it happens.
How is devolving the story in some sort of Hideki Anno couch trip beautiful? This is nonsense.
It's the avant-garde obsession with doing things so unconventional that they don't make sense anymore.
Like they literally have a bunch of drawings on the screen that aren't colored, that aren't fully keyframed, that aren't fully like as if they half drew them and this is animation. You're like, wait a second, no. What are you doing?
What I remember the old plot was they ran out of money. And then later I heard that was not actually the case, and there was another reason, but I'll stick with it. They ran out of money.
Even if that were the case, they could have made a sensible ending. I don't care what. Just have it make sense. Make it dramatic, make it sad, make it happy. I don't care. Just have it make sense.
Arnaud didn't know how to. He just winged it.
Yeah.
Because he was still in his depression shit.
Yeah.
And when you're in depression and you don't know how to get out of it, you can't write a character out of depression because that would imply that you would know how to get out of depression.
Yeah,
and Arnaud didn't know how to. So Shinji ended up in nonsense.
I think this and Mass Effect 3 are the greatest examples of the adage of write the ending first so that you know where you're going.
Yeah.
And that did not happen in the Mass Effect series. It did not happen in the Neon Genesis series.
So it all fizzled out.
And even with the remakes, it's as if, people like Evangelion. Let's just give more of that psychedelic nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Just in higher definition. You're like, or you could make a story that makes sense.
Yeah, and with in book form with Wheel of Time, Robert Jordan wrote the ending pretty early on when he wrote the first book. He knew where he needed to go, and when you read the books, you can see his style is coming back and all the flaws with it, but he knew where he needed to go. In the last books he wrote before his death, he just didn't know how to connect to that. And so some parts are very meandery and going nowhere and dragging out, and other parts are rushed. He would have needed more time. And way more books. But he knew where he needed to go.
So the idea of saying, forget the plot because this scene is so dramatic or what have you. I actually, no, I wouldn't even say that. You cannot have drama without plot. You cannot have a dramatic or comedic scene, or sorry, let's just stick with drama. Comedy is a bit more complicated. You cannot have drama without plot. Drama, like plot, comes from a character. And if you miss one, you can't have the other.
Drama requires plot.
It requires many things.
There cannot be drama without plot, without things happening for reasons or affecting things.
He's looking at this from an emotional thing. Oh, this is beautiful. This is artistically visual, nice looking, sounds good. Like he's going from that angle, I think. Because if you say this is beautiful, there's no way anyone...
He's just looking at scene by scene.
Yeah, like if you were following the story, there's no way this is beautiful. This is confusing and messy, and they change the animation all the time, and they change the story all the time. They jump between ideas.
Yeah, from a certain perspective, you can say the Omedeto scene at the end is beautiful, it is uplifting, it is nice, but in context, it is garbage. All the other scenes by themselves are great. You can say the same things about Michael Bay movies, or even The Last Jedi.
Yes,
the scenes by themselves, just contained, every scene by itself, if you do not connect them to anything else, many of them work, look good. If you put them together as the movie, it makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, if you want to do this, and they did do this in Evangelion with the, I think it was episode 14. I can't remember the exact number, but it was the hedgehog dilemma episode where he's trapped, and he has this whole flashback, whatever. That's great. Do the psychedelic stuff, get it over with, get it out of your system, have them grow, change, develop, whatever. You don't do this at the ending. You don't make this interpretive hopscotch, whatever. I'm trying to use the right word. This bizarre collection of ideas. You do not want that ending. You want an ending to be definitive, clear, and have it make sense in the context of what happened before. That's it. We sort of get that with the end of the world scenario, but we have no clue how we got there, or what this place is, or what the beach is. Okay, we have no clue how any of all these events transpired as soon as we went to that imaginary land. So you cannot disconnect from reality in a story that has giant creatures trying to destroy humanity from outer space. It does not work. It does work in Solaris, where the reveal of the aliens is, this is how they communicate. I'm going to stay here because they are teaching me about my person, myself, my past, and why I'm still around and why I'm doing this mission, as opposed to going home and whatever. It's like, oh, okay, the aliens are really different than anything we've encountered. I need to stay here and listen to them. Sure. Makes sense. Crazy trip to get there. All the people running around on the ship. You're dead. No, you're not. What was happening? But at least the ending made some sense. And it was not the director's couch trip.
The character writing in Evangelion is so strong, it acts as a kind of baseline, to the point where you don't really need to know what happens to get the series. As long as you can follow the characters and their arcs, you will understand Evangelion.
No.
If you follow the characters' arcs, then you're following the story.
That's like saying, if you follow Miranda's story in Mass Effect 2, you will understand Mass Effect 2. It's like, what? No, the story, the main plot of Mass Effect 2 is barely there, if anything. And whatever's there is broken. So you could argue, well, if you follow the character vignettes, that is Mass Effect 2. And that's right. 80% of the game is just character vignettes. And you could argue that stuff like character vignettes, or again, the short story anthology style of writing does not necessarily need a plot. But they do have
I would
plots.
say that would be the right, or could be the right choice for Mass Effect 2 if you had planned it out altogether, because that would be the filler thing in the middle where you flesh everything out totally, and where you put all these forks in the road that make it so much bigger and more complex for that wonderful personalized ending of how the galaxy unfolds after the end.
Yeah. And that's why the Mass Effect 3 elements that people liked, even though I would argue logically they don't make too much sense, is like when with Tali and the Geth, it's like, oh, if you only did it a certain way previously, therefore you get this resolution to the Rannoch problem. You're like, oh, that's at least makes sense, even though it's pretty stupid that these events have to happen that way. But that's fine. It made the bare minimum amount of logic to connect the dots. Your choices mattered. Things happened. It was dramatic. It could have ended a series of other ways, which they promised, which they did actually deliver on. And that was good enough for most people. And I agree. That's fine. If the ending was like that to the whole series, great. Nothing special, but at least they delivered on the promise that, yeah, your choices do matter. So, with Evangelion, I don't know. We don't know what this was all building towards. I honestly do not believe anyone thought that, oh, we want Asuka and Shinji to wind up together on Earth on a beach while a decomposing body of giant Rei is in the background.
So anyone who cheers for Asuka as the waifu, as the girlfriend, just wants an abusive relationship. Oh, that's what you're gonna get if you chase that kind of girl. You will not be happy. Go for the husk clone. She's gonna be nice and cook for you.
Of your mom, yeah.
Tenet, by comparison, out of the plot. Then what reason do you have to?
That's because you're stupid.
It goes beyond just these examples. Properties with interesting premises and plot can fall flat for me if I don't give a shit about the characters. And stuff that doesn't have that initial hook of a premise can still be really enjoyable as long as they nail those characters. After years of pretentiously ignoring them.
Okay, he's showing a bunch of random anime. He was showing Mashal, which is gag comedy story of Hogwarts, essentially. A guy who can't use magic in Hogwarts, but he's super strong, like, I wouldn't say the same level of One Punch Man, but he can do things that are ridiculous, that are like magic. The show is a comedy, though. It's not just comedy, it's gag comedy. So it's over the top stupid. When you have farce or any kind of comedic level where the whole, like a Naked Gun sort of movie where reality is suspended, then yeah, you can do whatever you want because people know, oh, this is just a joke. It's not serious. That doesn't mean you can't have drama. There's lots of drama in the show where we get character flashbacks and motivations for people doing whatever they're doing. But you don't take the story seriously. You can't because it's not taking itself seriously. If this guy can play Quidditch and he's flying in the air on a broomstick through the power of his legs, I can't take this show seriously. There's no magic involved. He's just that strong. He could kick into the air and levitate. And while he's levitating in the air, he's throwing a ball and giving it a backspin through the Quidditch hoop. And it's going like a boomerang back to his hand. And he's throwing it really fast over and over again to get like 300 points in a matter of seconds. Yeah, I'm not going to take this show seriously. It's silly, it's fun, and that's fine. You can tell stories like that. It's great for anime.
Could he, by all he's shown us right now, could he enjoy well, my brain is blanking out. John Wick. Because that plot doesn't that world doesn't make enough sense, really. There's very little characterization of everyone. And a lot of action. He might like the action for as a dangling key effect, but if he likes characters, he's not gonna find much there.
Well, the first one I think is the strongest because we know why things are happening. It's the third one that things just get all messed up. I haven't watched it, but people say that it's so stupid. Or is the fourth one?
You don't watch John Wick to make sense because this whole syndicate works by rules that don't make sense. The world doesn't make sense because there are more assassins than people to kill. like how do these people make money? There's like 1 million assassins in one city at any given point. Who's even the normal population?
Yeah, who's paying these guys millions of dollars to kill one guy?
To kill who?
Yeah.
Like think for a moment. All of these assassins make money killing people. That means there need to be enough targets being called out for enough of them to get a shot to make money. That'd be a lot of dead people every month.
Yeah, it's an interesting premise, but it's blown up to the point of I wouldn't say absurdity, but
yeah, this is one of the things that is stupid on a level where I can still say, yeah, let's get on the ride. Because the ride is actually done well.
It's like a James Bond flick, but the focus is killing, and you're like, that's probably not that believable.
Yeah, it's not as thought out as Dread.
I see.
But it's damn good action scenes, and you don't have the stupid shaky cam crap. You have proper wide shots, you have choreography, and that is action flick, the most important stuff. The rest you try to you pad it out to the level it works, and if you make a masterpiece, then you also have story and deep characters. So John Wick isn't a masterpiece all over, but for the action, it's pretty good.
Yeah, if this is the same standard, he probably wouldn't like it. But if he knows and likes Tenet, then he'll probably like John Wick.
He can't like Tenet. He won't like John Wick.
Oh, really? Huh.
He won't like Dredd. Because there's not enough character there. There's only the girl gets a little bit, kind of, but probably still not enough for him.
Oh, I see.
Dredd himself, from his point of view, has no character at all. Because you don't know whether he likes bananas, I suppose.
That one scene in the morgue or the doctor's room where he's getting shot at. Anyway.
A fair few rom-com anime and manga this past couple, and the best of them can almost be summed up as tossing a bunch of interesting, compelling, or just fucking weird characters in a box and just watching them bounce off each other and evolve in cool ways. In fact, if you're good enough, you don't even really need character. You'd be surprised just how far you can go just off of vibes.
No. What are you talking about? Are you talking about a music video?
What? How do you have vibes without characters? Where the vibes come from? The vibes imply character.
Is he describing like an explosion? Like it just looks amazing. I don't care who's doing it. It's pretty.
He's just obsessed with feelings. He is so much a normie that he's just. I think he's the kind who indulges in sensory activation, in just plain most basic neuron activation of his sensory organs.
I was describing a music video because there's dance, and you can get a sense of style from a certain style of dance without the characters, having a story. You can do that. Plus, there's plenty of emotion, depending on the music. If that's what he wants, then he's not interested in storytelling. He's interested in spectacle.
Yeah. After what? Yeah, exactly. After what he just told us, he is a low intelligence hedonist. Which, okay, that's how you enjoy yourself. But there are people whose brains also get tickled in other ways that require a bit more thought.
Oh, I'm not even.
They like that to be tickled.
I'm not even describing people who focus on their intellect and go to academia and get PhDs. This is just people reading books.
No, yes, that's what I mean. And he is below that.
Yeah, this is
because he cannot understand Tenet. Tenet is not that difficult. It's if you watch it. There are many movies that if you watch them a second time, you get it all. That is one of them.
Like, he could never read or watch a murder mystery. Like, he just wouldn't get it. He'd be like, what's going on? Who are these? Oh, they're trying to find someone. Like, okay, yeah, but can you follow along? Can you figure out the lies?
I think he would love Survive Style 5 Plus, but not understand any of it.
I guess
he would think it has no plot because he is unable to follow it.
All right. It is tough to follow.
Yeah, but he'd be blown away by the vibe, the characters, the vignette stories, the craziness,
the video collages, montage. Yeah. Oh, look at the montage.
Oh God, the horrible! You would probably even like the horrible, hypothetical ads made for Japanese television. That are deliberately bad because the character who makes them up her job is to spoilers. Her job is to come up with advertisements for television, but she is unbelievably bad at it. So all her things are horribly bad, but she finds them super funny. And you would probably love even that. And while it's deliberately made to make you wish that the movie was over. Like it is a movie of short stories, or not short stories. These hack together bits of 5 stories that come together, that overlap at certain points, that all evoke different feelings in you. It's very good at that, including negative emotion. And that's why he would love it. But he would not understand what's actually going on or what it's about. Go watch my favorite movie.
Favorite manga ever is Blam by Tetsumu Nihei, a series which is carried almost entirely by its world and atmosphere.
Did he say Blam?
I think I remember there was an interview where the mangaka said that's what it's supposed to be pronounced as, which is...
It's Blame.
Yes.
I've read it. It's Blame. It's not Blam, sir. Did you read the manga? Did you read the title?
I haven't.
It's different.
I have read the title.
Okay, well, there's a lot of architecture because the creator was he was an architecture student, so he has all these really big, long perspective shots, and it's going down, like they're going down into this subterranean building where it's a post-apocalyptic, so everything, mutated creatures, what have you, and there's lots of shots where there's no dialogue, there's nothing. It's just walking through this gigantic descending tower. And of course, there's all kinds of gore and what you expect, like from an Acura style futuristic world. And that tells its own story. Of course, visual storytelling is a real thing. We talk about this in Castlevania and other side-scroller games where the level design is this part of the story. It's true. That's great visually, but you know, it'd be really great if the character was more of a person and had some background and we could figure out his motivation, because as it starts, he's just a guy. That's it. We're like, what is the point of this? Aside from the visuals, which is like arguing, I like reading Witchblade or Spawn because the artist is really good. It's like, that's one reason. That's one reason to appreciate the human body. But I need more out of my comic books than perspective art.
With all due respect, Todd McFarlane can't draw hair.
Oh, he can't draw
children.
Okay.
All the hair looks like shit, and the children just look creepy.
There's reasons why his stuff sold in the 90s, and why he started his own.
It's not for the art style.
The covers for sure. They're striking.
There are things he's good at. The covers are certainly good. The inks are great. There's currently a collection coming out, started last year, of the Spawn, of all the Spawn issues, and it contains the not lost but out of confusion, never reprinted issue 10, I believe it was, And that thing is bloody art. That is writing. That is peak writing. And then you get the Gaiman issue. It's just ham-fisted garbage. Fucking hell. Yeah. No. There's some absolutely amazing Spawn issues. No question.
Okay. Almost done. We got 4 minutes.
My favourite manga ever is Blam by Tetsumu Nihei, a series which is carried almost entirely by its world and atmosphere. The plot is literally just a man with the personality of this fridge magnet wandering around an infinite decaying cityscape shooting things. And that's fine, because the focus of the series is the artwork and environment. Silent and often alone, Killy, said fridge magnet, rarely says or even thinks anything, and it's not uncommon for pages and pages and pages to go by completely wordless. Just our protagonist stalking the veins of this magnificent corpse of
Oh, you're actually selling this to me. Thank you.
the city. To reuse an earlier expression, the series and Nihei's work in general doesn't shy away from just soaking in itself, in its atmosphere, vibe, letting you get lost in its world, its moments, and
He's saying it's visual storytelling. Okay?
Yes.
It's like looking at a painting. Every page is, oh, what does it mean? I don't it's so deep. No. It's a guy walking through subterraneous city in a post-apocalyptic future where there's these giant or all kinds of biological and cybernetic creatures. It's like he's described so because there's no words, he can't use what's actually describing. He has to be poetic. He's this is a big blah, blah, blah. Like yes.
I mean, I'm glad he can appreciate the imagery. There are people who have trouble with that and just skip past all that and then complain that there's no story happening, although it is being told visually. So he's just the other extreme of that.
I would say look at Berserk, where it gives you not only amazing visuals, visual storytelling, as well as great characters and great plots and conflicts and adult scenarios. So it is good for what it is, but it's lacking in the dialogue. Again, if you want a story where no dialogue or dialogue does happen, but it's very brief between characters that die rather quickly. So yeah, fine. But give me more. I want more out of my time. I want a complete product. I don't want an artist who's really good. I want a writer who's really good. Then give me an artist.
we find ourselves pondering the point of all this useless, meaningless expansion. Urbanization with no point, the inevitability of collapse, of ruin, even for the most advanced and powerful civilizations. Fuck the plot. Because this shit is beautiful.
No, it's visual storytelling. That doesn't mean the plot doesn't exist.
Yeah, and your whole thing, your title, You're Wrong About Storytelling, that's just you not caring about plot, because all you care about is how does the image make you feel?
This is... I'm remembering...
Then you can just watch the individual images. You don't need a series. You don't need an episode. You don't need a film. You don't need a manga or comic. You just need individual frames.
I'm thinking of...
Go to an art gallery.
I'm thinking of a technique called in media res, where you start off in the middle of a story, where you just jump the audience into the action or into the setting or whatever you want to do. And then the next chapter, you do a flashback, you go back a few years or whatever, and then you build up to that point. And the reason you do that is we want a taste of what's coming and why we're here. But we also want to say, wait a second, that was pretty awesome, chapter 1. What does this all mean? What is this giant spaceship? Where did it come from? And that's why we need it built up to say, oh, that's what that meant. So it's kind of like you have the hot chick on the poster. Like, when's the hot chick coming in? Like, okay, because that's what got me in the theater. I want to see the hot chick, but I want more than just a hot chick. It has to be more than just visual storytelling. It has to be stories. It has to be actual storytelling. So That is what I expect from stories of any quality, not just visuals. If you're just giving me one format, other parts of my brain are going to be going crazy. Like, what is this? How is this? Who is this? Why is this? It's not going to be very comfortable because I have better stories to read or watch than a writer or a director who has their own auteur movement and they want me to experience their story a certain way. I'm like, get on with it. Japan, who is notorious for having slice of life stories where nothing happens for episodes, if not multiple chapters.
Quote, it's not what happens, but how it happens.
No. This is a sci-fi dystopia post-apocalyptic world where people get blown away by one gunshot. You can't just go, this gun is like the best gun ever. It's a gravity gun. And other people have different weapons. Why is that? How is that? Where'd they come from? Blah, blah, blah.
He's also saying this after telling us that most of it is scenes of the protagonist just walking through this giant world. That is not actually anything happening. That is just us taking in the world, getting a feel for the world. That is not anything happening. There is no how. The only thing you could call a happening is the main character is traveling.
Yeah.
We do not know where to, or from where, or for what reason, but he is traveling, and through that we see this world that is vast, labyrinthine, oppressive in its atmosphere, and dilapidated, derelict. Okay. But that is not a how.
I'm reminded, as always, of whenever we talk about sci-fi or science fiction, I always go back to Roadside Picnic, which has 4 parts to it. So it's kind of like a time skip in each. And the ending, I'm not going to spoil it for you, it's very psychedelic. It's very, not philosophical, but it does something that even the character who's describing it says doesn't feel right. Like he's doing, like usually he has his canister of vodka, and he takes a swig. And right near the end, when he takes a swig, he wishes it were the clearest, purest water he could find, because of the experience he was having. Because the world he's in, as a stalker, which are people who navigate this warped reality of the world that the aliens came by and dropped all their junk, is so strange that he's having this weird experience that he can't quite describe. And this is the problem with all these phenomenon in these worlds, these zones. That works because the nature of the world is twisted and weird and doesn't make sense. And then you have the boundary of the real world. So that is where that kind of ending can work. That's where those kinds of scenes can work. And even in the 4-chapter format where it's time jumps and character, all kinds of history happens between the time jumps you're not too sure of, you can get away with that because of the nature of the storytelling and the story and the setting itself. And it's always been my favorite science fiction story, because it does so many things so well. But if it did not have plot, if it did not have the character, if it did not have his relationships and his new baby that was born and all these other things, it would just be this confusing mishmash of psychedelic nonsense, of a bunch of people running around in a deadly environment trying to take magical artifacts and trying to sell them. Like that's would be like, what the hell? What is going on? You need both. You need philosophical moments, you need personal moments, you need grounded logic moments. It's like describing a meal. You don't just eat steak and that's it. You put something on it, you treat it, you cook it properly, you have a wine, you have a juice, you have water, you have something to complement the meal, round it off.
Salt.
Whatever flavor you like. You gotta have a
Not
full...
sugar.
Well, if you want sugar, you put sugar. I don't care. Whatever works for you. You got to give me the basics. You got to give me nutrition and then give me the sugar. Give me the cream. Give me the cheese. Give me something fancy. The spices. But you got to give me the basics. If you can't give me that, I'm not going to eat it. Same with storytelling.
For people online who want to talk about what happens. Lore breakdowns, ending explained videos and articles, recaps, theories, predictions, plot hole spotters. You enjoy watching or making this kind of stuff? No shade. I even get it a bit. When I was playing Signalis for the first time, I literally started making notes about the world and background of the game, writing down theories and character bios. It was really fun. But around the midpoint of the game, as the plot became harder to parse, but the characters' motivations became clearer, I stopped writing down notes. Because through all the temporal madness, existential dread, and survival horror tension, what ultimately drew me in was the tragic, beautiful romance at the heart of it all. That's what I mean when I say...
So that's your bias. That's fine.
Yeah, but when you say fuck plot, then you do throw shade.
Yeah.
What you miss is that there are people who can appreciate both and not just one at a time.
He seemed to
They can appreciate both to the maximum that you just described at the same time. And for some of those people, both of these do need to come together at the same time to really tingle the nerves, because we've seen too much mediocrity where something just doesn't work right.
Yeah.
Like if there's too much John Wick, I would need action that has plot as well.
This is as if he is aware that stories exist, but he's not comparing them. He's not going, well, this is an apple and this is also an apple, but I'm not going to have a sense of value. I'm not going to have an idea of quality. I'm not going to use a criteria. I'm just going to sit there and experience the drama. And it's like, drama is one of a dozen different things you can experience in any kind of media. And that's all he wants. He just wants to feel things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, good for you, but don't knock the thing that you seem to be like lore and questions and all the things that stimulate his brain. And he just gave up. He's like, I don't care anymore. I like the drama.
There are people who feel what you feel from just happy pictures, from good plot, from that complicated plot that is lost on you, because you can't grasp it. And no shade on that. But man, getting your brain tingled by absolutely breathtaking plot, that's really cool. I would suggest to him to watch Mushishi. That should be on his level to tingle both sides.
Yeah, maybe. It's slow, but he might like that.
Yeah, it's enough to follow.
I'm not saying it isn't an important part. Great pieces of media, some of which I would rank among my all-time favorites, are significantly plot-driven in many ways. The plot may just be a road, but God, it's a fine-looking road sometimes, and maybe if you dig under the concrete, you'll find some fantastic earth. But it's the characters who walk that road, the scenery you see when you stop and look either side. That's what makes something beautiful.
Okay, so you're telling me the setting makes it beautiful? And the character which plot comes from, but plot is not beautiful for whatever reason. This is strange. This is like, I really like the feeling of the character with the whatever feeling they've got, but triangles, squares, octagons, all these shapes, that's not beauty at all. I can't appreciate nature and how things work logically and why. That doesn't work for me. It's like, why not? 2 + 2 is 4. That's not attractive. Like, why not?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Math is beautiful, man.
It's symmetry. It's symmetry. Symmetry is beauty.
The things making sense. That is amazing. If the guy who wants the milk at the ending of the story, he gets to the store and he's about to open the door and he hesitates. And you're like, oh my God, is he going to get in the store? Is he going to buy the milk? Does he still even want milk after the journey he took to get here? Has he become different? Has his tastes changed? Has his plot changed? We don't know. That's good stuff. That's part of the story. That's a very big part of the story. That's the spine of the story that everything hangs off. If you don't have plot, you just have a really pretty door to a store.
And then it turns out they're out of 3.5% milk, but they have 3.8, and he has never seen that before. And he is hesitant, but he tries it, and it blows his mind.
Like he's not okay. It's like the forest for the trees. We always say he's missing the trees. Yeah. It's like there's a flower garden and there's 12 flowers, drama, comedy, theme, plot is one of them, and he's just going with drama and pretty pictures, or I guess you could call descriptions in a book.
Yeah. I know we've shot close to the end, but I have to jump out right now. I don't know if I make it back in time.
All right.
I'll try.
No problem.
I think Tenet is a good film. There's absolutely a place for it, and other films like it. It's just that place isn't here.
So wait, Tenet he likes because it doesn't have plot? I'm trying to remember why he likes Tenet so much. How they do things. He was saying how good it was. Now he's saying he doesn't care about Tenet because it doesn't make him feel anything. I'm a bit confused. That's a very hard to decipher. Maybe I have to rewatch what he said. That was that was hard. Anyway, I think we're done. Maybe he's got a minute of him rambling on about whatever. Let's find out.
Before this, I want to thank my patrons for their support.
Blah, blah, blah. Let's see what else we got here. This guy has patrons. He barely has 4 subs or 4,000 subs. Oh, he's just slowly presenting their names on the screen. And his music. All right. Fair enough. That was it. That was faster than I thought. Just one person's subjective take on stories and their inability to appreciate, for whatever reason, the plot of a story. Not that he defined it so we can grasp what he was talking about. Seems as if that was the go-to, and logic is not his thing. I don't know why. There's nothing wrong with logic. Da-da-da. Do we have any stream memes? I think we do. Let's find out. Okay, we got some. May the 3rd. Yes, that is the right date. Irish Joy. Drinking multiple bottles of Guinness, it looks like. I don't know if that's Irish Joy or just guys being drunk, but I like Guinness. Guinness is a nice beer. Gotta like your stouts, though. Oh, no. There's Norm. Norm. This isn't an argument. This is just returning. The famous Monty Python I'd like an argument sketch. It's a personal take on his appreciation of stories, which is fine. It's just missing all the other elements of a piece of media and just focusing on how it makes you feel or how it looks makes you feel, and drama, which is subjective and how you interpret drama. Because you can like a character and have no drama. You can love a character and There's no dramatic scenes on the screen or in the story, but because you like them, everything they do is really important to you. Again, he hasn't defined drama, so we didn't know what terms he was throwing around there exactly. Oh. I don't know if she would ever give up her beer for Monster, but you never know with that crazy lady. Hello, Optimus Prime from Transformers. Okay. Hello, Shinji Ikari from Neon Genesis Evangelion. Huh. Yeah. That, I don't think you ever want to defile Transformers with this comparison. Whew. Average beat your meat fan. What? Average beat your dad enjoyer? I'm not sure what this comparison is trying to tell us. Oh boy. Do I like violence? Don't believe his lies. I don't understand the meme. I do know what this is in the movie though. This is the part where well, this is not the first scene he shows this camera or this photo, but it's right near the ending where everything falls apart. And I end up hating the movie as a result. But what is this lion, flower, snake thing? I don't know what's going on. Shinji's a dirty boy kisser. Huh? It's the manga. I never read it. Requirements to be a friend of Shinji. Be nice. Ray, give her Burger King. Of Asuka, have a certain skin tone? Is that how that works? Was she mean to all the non-white guys at school? I can't remember. Neon Genesis Evangelion is what the kids want. How long is this?
Okay, how many of you kids would like Itchy and Scratchy to deal with real-life problems like the ones you face every day? And who would like to see them do just the opposite, getting into far-out situations involving robots and magic powers? So you want a realistic, down-to-earth show that's completely off the wall and swarming with magic robots?
Yes to everything. That's what you expect from kids. Similarities between Neon Genesis and Ultraman Geed. All right, I could buy this. It all started with Second Impact, Crisis Impact, abandoned by his father. His father only wants him back to fight for him. And then he went berserk. Okay. No, I'm sure that Evangelion took a lot of inspiration from all kinds of stuff. How and when and what, I don't know. Wow, the Christian imagery in Evangelion really shows the nuances in religion and its cataclysmic effects on humanity. No. Gosh, I sure do hope people like my cool Ultraman references. Oh yeah, that's what it was? Well, just know that Xenogears was inspired by Evangelion, and we got pretty much that scene in Xenogears. Only imagine a giant pink furball being crucified next to robots being crucified, if that's makes any sense to you. Which it shouldn't. Oh no. Big-nosed, all right. Control everything from the media to schools, mass murder civilians for their own personal gain, torture kids to do things for them to further their agenda. Weird mix of the occult and tech. What did Anno mean by this? I wonder. Not sure about the nose, though. Girls' sexual fantasies, boys' sexual fantasies. Okay, let's go with that. Two Misatos dressed differently. I I'm trying to figure this one out. Can't say I'm making sense of it. Hook, Hose Mad times 24. What? I thought this was like lyrics to a song, but apparently it could be acting. I don't know. War, self-fulfillment needs, tomboy pussy, psychological needs, raw eggs and beef, basic needs. Interesting. What's the top? God? Okay. Interesting. I don't know about raw eggs. Why would you eat raw eggs? You're not getting all your nutrition if you don't cook them. In case you guys don't know. Protein and certain fats have to be heated or cooked to a certain temperature. But you wouldn't die if you ate raw eggs. Let's just say that. Alrighty. Did you seriously masturbate over my naked body? Ad hominem. I thought you were gay. Strawman. I'm going to tell Misato about you. Appeal to authority? Ad hominem. I thought you were gay could be an ad hominem. But definitely, did you seriously masturbate over my naked body is not an ad hominem. So maybe there's a part above that. I'm trying to make sense. Is this a conversation? Is this what's going through his head? Are these examples on the right? I don't know.
This meme format is just one guy refusing the other side with calling out logical fallacies. Oh. And in some versions, they're the correct call-outs. And in this version, because Shinji's an idiot, they're all wrong.
Yeah, the ad hominem doesn't make any sense. I'm like, that's not an ad hominem. I thought you were gay, strawman. I was like, what? That's not a strawman. She just thought he was gay. Is that? She's not attacking the strawman. And I'm going to tell Misato is just I'm going to tell someone something. I'm not appealing to anyone. It's not an argument. I'm going to go do a thing. It's like, okay, go do the thing. Weird. All right. Hey, Muscle Man, do you know Candace? You know who else hung herself? What the heck?
I don't even want to know.
I don't even... What's happened here? Jesus. The badass, the gay one, the girl. Okay. So they put Asuka as the badass and Shinji as the girl?
Yes. Yes, the
I don't character. I don't think what's his name? The fourth kid was gay. He just said he loved Shinji. It doesn't mean he's gay.
He is the most open to that interpretation is the problem. Because he's an angel, he's actually nothing.
Yeah, he's a superior being. He doesn't care about sexuality. He loves Shinji as Shinji.
Yeah, for him it's just purely emotional. But a human cannot actually comprehend that.
Misato, please think of the children. Okay, that's a little silly interpretation of this. Of what happened there?
Well, Misato either likes older men or
I can barely read that. I told you, Asuka, not to Google Translate sharp knife into Latvian. Okay. Whatever.
Okay,
let's not do that. What the? You have to actually. I have to watch the movie again to see if there's a scene in an elevator with Bateman. I don't know if there is. I don't remember. That's too tiny. I can't read that.
So, did the angels tell you to go into that comatose girl's hospital room?
Can you imagine him explaining what he did to some police investigator? It's like, okay. And then I jerked off. Like, what?
Okay. The next one.
Okay, Shinji, teach me. What? It looks like Shinji's dead. Like he's a ghost.
Or maybe Spike did mushrooms again.
I don't know who is this Driver? What is this from?
Yes, this is Driver. This is Ryan Gosling in Driver.
Okay. The scene. Okay, yeah, I get it.
Why are his pants open?
Are they
Oh no, that's the jacket's cloth rim.
Yo, WTF? Misato is a pro Smash player. What? Ugh. Misato went back. Time for the rest. Ha ha. So he didn't remember the story, and now it doesn't matter because he only remembers how he feels. I read the Talmud. They deserved it, and it wasn't enough. Oh my god. All right.
I will not comment further.
I'm curious. I like it. I'm just curious what it means.
How does it make you feel?
Okay. What? Who? What? Who is the guy on the left? I want to know because it's not Shinji.
Must be some other anime.
I don't
can't
know.
tell.
Hue City 68. Vietnam? What is this? Born to Kill? Is this some movie reference? I don't know.
It's not Apocalypse Now, the other one.
Cocoon? Not Cocoon. What the hell was it called?
Everything's mixed up in my head. The one with the drill sergeant.
Full Metal Jacket?
Yes, Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, okay. I always stop watching after the first 20 minutes.
Damn. So much good stuff there.
Oh yeah, I just prefer just watching that. That was so memorable.
Well, it is the most engaging part.
Yeah.
No question.
Okay, what is happening here? Don't know what that thing is on his helmet.
It says Shinji in Cyrillic.
Okay, he's got
Shinji.
He's got a badge going of someone's portrait, and he's got another person on the wall. Guys, everything will be great. Interesting. There he is, Mash. This is his workout routine.
Hell yeah.
It has that sound effect like dum, 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 dum. It's so funny. Even the second season music is amazing. If you watch the opening, just watch the opening on YouTube. If you want to watch the show, just watch the second season OP or OP of Mashal. It is so funny. It's a catchy song. We got here. All right. I see the Soprano reference. Gotcha. Very good. That is a bit weird. Like a lot weird, actually.
Why are all your memes so tiny today?
Yeah, they're so... I can barely read these. Don't worry, Chris. I will take care of you. Oh. Sure. Pilot the Eva, Tony. Oh, Chrissy is going to have to go again. Poor Chrissy.
Painful crossovers.
There is... Yeah. I didn't know he wore red. Did they recolor this? I thought it was black. Maybe I'm remembering differently. There's the animation from the second season, but you gotta listen to the music. It's just perfect. It's spelled blame. This guy read blam, Smud. I am going to beat you to death. Blame with passion. Maybe it's pronounced blam. I don't know. I've never heard it pronounced that way. I don't know. I could be wrong. when I see an E at the end, I use English and I say blame. Dance with the Devil. I can't read that. Too tiny. And it's just a comic panel. I'm not going to read that. Yes. The Hulk has a healing factor. That's true. Todd is not my favorite comic artist, but this will be something Whisp would appreciate.
Nah. But I do find the Hulk monster much more interesting.
Wow,
It
that
has a bit of a Frankenstein monster vibe to it.
This is very Spider-Man like.
The poses are
if not
brain dead.
If not identical Spider-Man.
Those poses are just dumb. That's like, hey, let's break my bones and my ligaments and my muscles.
Yeah. How flexible am I? Well, the knee can go beyond the spine. And the head can go beneath the foot.
Yeah, this is a bad pose. Like, you couldn't if it was a silhouette, you couldn't tell what's going on. And the important thing, especially for US comics, is that you need to be able to tell from the silhouette alone what's going on.
Yeah.
And this is not it.
All right. Well, that was a fun little bunch of memes. Some I couldn't quite grasp, but that's fine. But do check out the OP of MASH or Mashal Season 2. It's fun. It's almost Russian and entertaining to listen to and watch. But yeah, it's not an anime to be taken seriously. It's one of those examples where it's so goofy and then they have drama. And it's like you'll have a scene. Mash, why do you lift weights? I often think about it. He has this serious talk where he's like, well, no one else is going to lift it, so I have to lift. It's like, what?
That's so deep.
It's so meaningful. You're like, what? What are you talking about?
No one else picks up the responsibility to lift the weight.
I have to do it. Like, what?
It won't lift itself.
And everything he makes,
the duty must be dutied.
Yeah, every food he makes, like they have to make some sort of, I think it was a healing potion or something. It always turns into those puff pastry things filled with cream. It's like everything he made, like a cruller but filled with cream. It's like, what the hell? So there's all this reference to, he has all these puff pastries in his jacket. He's always eating them. Makes no sense. Anyway, yeah, that guy was.
He's the guy. While I was away, had time to think this over. What I said before. He is the guy who probably loved The Last Jedi by Rian Johnson.
Because
and he explained to us exactly why.
Plot,
he cannot follow plot. It's too much for him.
You know what? You should check his channel out and see if he has a Star Wars video there.
Yeah, because if you solely go by visual impact and scene by scene emotion, then it's okay. And that's how these people function. That's how the Patrick Williamses function. They only see that.
If they can find some meaning which has value to them, it's a good thing because they've done the critical analysis in their limited understanding of storytelling.
But that is not a critical analysis of storytelling because they do not have the ability for critical storytelling. You're telling me that he did the work of his math homework to his ability while he is incapable of adding numbers together.
But to him, the font of those numbers were so attractive. He liked looking at question 7 so much. He thought everything should be like question 7 because the 1 plus the 9 was.
He felt his answers were right, so we should give him an A.
Maybe, I don't know. He if you watch the last part of this video, he said he didn't like Tenet. It didn't make him feel anything. I was like, wait a second, didn't you say Tenet was really good because it focused on whatever? Which his argument was it made him feel like he likes movies or whatever because they make you feel. But it didn't do that. Tenet did not do that for him. So I'm like, wait a second. Is it good? Is it bad? Like, what do you think of it? I don't know. If someone could make sense of that, what he's trying to say about Tenet, please fill me in, because I could not follow him.
If it doesn't drain your wallet, give Tenet a watch.
That's a good point.
Judge that one by yourself. That's what I would say.
All right. Anyway, this was a relaxing Friday. This was not a hard video to watch. He was not saying obscurely stupid things, just some stupid things, but that's fine. To us, it's stupid. To them, it's intelligent.
I'd say he's the positive form of the people who are like that.
Yeah, as opposed to people were referencing Patrick H. Willems, who would deride you for thinking differently than he does, because I know I know how good Star Wars is because I enjoyed Episode 8 so much. And I'm like, okay.
How dare you complain about inconsistencies in the writing just because I'm bad at writing?
I had good feelings and you didn't, therefore I'm superior at the analysis of movie watching or something.
Yeah. Now imagine those kinds of people being politicians and making policy and ruling over you.
Well, welcome to Canada. That's about all we've got in Canada these days, so it's kind of fun. Either way, that was interesting. I liked the video, and he did a good job editing it, and I just wish he could talk to people that disagree with him. That'd be a lot of good back and forth of why you do not like logic and structure and endings that make sense. That'd be nice. Nice to know. Anyway, thank you guys for the suggestion. That was cool. Talk to you guys later. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Good night.